So our investment proposition here, excuse me, as I said, our primary commodity is zinc. We do also have copper, lead, silver and gold. We certainly like the fundamentals of the zinc market. It's been well publicised, the supply-demand fundamentals and the fact that there's a shortage of supply. And we think we're timed very well to bring this project into production at a time which will enjoy those high prices. The asset, it's a high-quality deposit, high grade, has had a history of 20 years of operations, so there's a lot that we understand about it. We've gone through a feasibility study, generated what we call a starter case. It was a document to get the project financed. We see it as being something that we can certainly build on, but got us a project that gets us off the ground. Great jurisdiction and good infrastructure. That'll become evident as we go through the story, and we can certainly find lots of opportunity to expand on the mine life that we've outlined in the feasibility. We're financed. We completed the equity side of the financing in September last year. That allowed us to get started. So it's a full $240 million funding package. 140 of that was equity. We've got three very supportive cornerstone equity providers, private equity groups involved, and that's allowed us to get underway. We are exclusively Woodlawn focused. We cleaned out our project portfolio with some assets we spun out into another entity. That means that we're 100% focused on building Woodlawn, and to date, at the end of last month, we're 39% complete. Corporate snapshot, we're listed on the ASX. We also were listed on the TSX. We've recently delisted from there, given the majority of our stock is actually held on the ASX. Current market cap's about 160 million. We have 94 million unrestricted in cash, Aussie, and some listed investments. Our share register features our three cornerstone investors, namely Greenstone, Orion Mine Finance and Castle Lake. Around 63% of our register is held by those three groups. Where are we? We're about 3 hours drive out of Sydney and about an hour's drive north of Canberra, the national capital. We're serviced by excellent roads, grid power, there's water. We've got access to deep water ports not too far away. We've got about 400,000 people that live within driving distance of the site. So from a location point of view, we consider it a premier location. Aerial shot of the site there. You can see the former open pit and an overlay of how we see the project footprint developing, and we'll show you what's actually happened on the ground shortly. Down the right-hand side, some of the key metrics out of the feasibility study. So we're looking at a 1.5 million tonne per annum capacity plant, 9.3 year mine life. As I said, it's a starter case, so that's our reserves only starter case. Reserves coming from both underground and the retreatment of tailings. In total, around 11 million tonnes of tailings, 9.5 of that reports to reserves, about 6% zinc equivalent, so it's quite high grade. Our underground, 2.8 million tonnes at around 14% zinc equivalent. The breakdown of those numbers is provided at the back of this slide deck, which is available on our website. Steady state production, around 40,000 tonnes of zinc a year, 10 of copper, 12 of lead, and silver and gold credits in both the copper concentrates and the lead concentrates. Schematic of how the detailed schematic of how the plant we expect it to look. So our contractor, EPC contractor Sedgman, it's on a $107 million guaranteed maximum price contract. It's underway. Substantially completed the earthworks, well into the concrete foundations, and we've got some of the gear turning up on site as we speak. In parallel to the work that Sedgman's doing, we're currently recruiting our workforce. We've got the underground mining contract in place. We're at the moment tendering our haulage contract, port contracts in place, off-takes in place, tailings mining contract well advanced as well. The schedule, the key thing here is when we turn the plant on, and that's timed for the end of this year, and first product shipment Q1 in 2019. So we do believe that the timing is right to enjoy those strong commodity prices. Just some shots of the activity on site. We've got here a shot which shows this is our box cut, so we're getting ready for the underground. We've got the last 10 metre bench there to dig out, and that should be pretty well completed in about the next 2 weeks. Our tailings dam facility 4, so that's well underway as well. It's nearing completion. The actual plant site, we have the run-of-mine pad here. This is the retaining wall and the foundation work for our primary crusher. On the image on the right, we've got our float plant site, concentrate handling and the grinding, so it's all starting to come together now, some real steel work going into the ground. Beyond the project, we've got a prioritised exploration portfolio here. That's, I guess the intention here is to value add through additions. First and foremost is looking in and around the mine. We've got a much larger resource position than what we have in reserves, and we'll be focusing on the conversion of that. Some of that will come down the track once we've got access to underground, because it's easier to drill from underground. Beyond that, we've got regional tenements. We hold about 1,000 square kilometres of ground here across the Felsic Volcanics, which is the host for the VMS-style mineralisation, and we're working our way through those. I'll just briefly touch on some of those. Just a comparison in terms of longitudinal footprint to a couple of other notable VMS deposits in Australia. We've got Golden Grove here in Western Australia, Rosebery in Tasmania. That's the comparative longitudinal footprint for Woodlawn. And I guess the exploration work hasn't been done to see whether or not it goes a lot further. So we think there's a lot of opportunity here. We're only explored down to about 600 to 700 metres below surface, whereas these other VMS deposits have been found to extend up to sort of 1.8 k's. So we certainly believe that there is a lot of exploration potential still to be had at Woodlawn. So looking a little bit closer in mine, I've got the longitudinal section here. You see in the grey the old workings. We've got mine workings at this point planned down to around 700 metres. We don't need to look any further just at this point. In actual fact, our focus has actually been right up here. Blue line being the initial decline. So the very first mineralisation that we will get to, we're still drilling out, which is a great position to be in. One of our regional projects, Currawang, is about 10 k's north of Woodlawn, and historically was mined as well. Some extremely nice grades came out of the production there. We've put 5 holes into that in the last 12 months, picked up 2 really good intercepts and a downhole EM conductor. So that's one that's further work for us. Peelwood, a new pickup for us. This was dropped by another company. It's about 100 k's north of the Woodlawn project, around the limits of what we think is truckable back to site. But this ground actually contained JORC 2004 resources and reserves and a feasibility study. The ground was just dropped, and we've picked it up. Some very nice drill intercepts in this area as well, and we're just starting to get our heads around what we think might be there. So that's the story in a nutshell. I guess the key takeaway is Woodlawn is one of the few new zinc projects that's fully funded through to production, and we think we're on track to deliver our first material into a market where we still see extremely attractive pricing for the commodities that we'll be producing. Thank you.